Good morning. Distinguished members of the media, colleague members of the platform, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I must first of all thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen present, at this press, and also our distinguished guests responding to our invitation. My name is Joe Winfo, as has been said, and I am the Executive Chairman of the Financial Accountability and Transparency Africa. And for this particular platform, I'm also the chairman for it. I will start with the rationale of this whole platform. If you remember, in August 2014, which is this year, the government of Ghana requested the IMF support to deal with our country's financial challenges or crisis, or what you want to call it. And this will culminate in a 3-year IMF package. So Ghana will be going for the full-blown 3-year IMF package, and the government of Ghana team, which is led by our former Minister for Finance, Dr. Kwesi Boche, has already commenced negotiations with the IMF to agree on the details of the bailout. This is quite in order, and it is appropriate. However, while conceding that the negotiations must necessarily be between government and the IMF, we want to stress that the ultimate agreement will be for the citizens of Ghana, and hence the need for broad consultation with citizens during the course of the negotiations. In the past, when such programs have been worked out with the IMF, there have been virtually no discussions with civil society, and therefore no input from such group and other non-state actors. We take the view that this lack of transparency must be avoided this time around. Although the program is negotiated by government, it is a program between the IMF and the people of Ghana. The success of the program will be influenced by the extent to which the citizens of Ghana buy into the program. A transparent process and the ability for civil society and non-state actors to contribute to the negotiations will facilitate the process to sell the program to Ghanaians. This is important because in the past, Ghanaians have been most apprehensive about and a bit suspicious of IMF programs. This apparent distrust stems from inadequate information dissemination resulting from a general lack of participation. Citizens must be active participants in such public financial management issues. Transparency and a perceived sense of inclusiveness in such an important program will benefit both the government and the IMF. It must be a matter of great concern to all Ghanaians that the current negotiations are going on without any prior conversation with the people of Ghana, represented by civil society and other non-state actors. Not even our representatives in Parliament have been consulted prior to the negotiations to share with the government and the negotiators their views on the key issues to be negotiated. And yet, there will be no chance for Parliament to debate and make any changes to the agreement once it is agreed between government of Ghana and the fund. Clearly, the inclusion of 2 or 4 members of the Finance Committee from both sides of the political divide on the negotiating team would have been quite useful. The platform has been formed to advocate for the views of citizens to be taken into account in this important agreement with the fund, so that the citizens of Ghana will buy into the agreement and work towards a successful execution of whatever conditionalities the agreement imposes on us. And I think you are all aware that there will be conditionalities. In our opinion, it is the only way to make this bailout the last bailout that we hope the country will actually go through. And I think this has been echoed by the president, that they hope this is going to be the last bailout. What are our expected outcomes and benefits? Our expectations are that through our efforts, we will be able to increase public interest and discourse on a major issue in the country's public financial management, namely the IMF bailout. Also, to provide public awareness and inclusiveness in the bailout discussions and the fiscal program that will be laid out. Also give needed guidance and advice to government negotiating team, hopefully, and obtain a program, the details of which meet the best interest of the people of Ghana. We intend to use some certain ICT tools and interventions. And this is to ensure that we reach as many citizens as possible. To that end, we intend to deploy the relevant ICT tools and the necessary interventions. For example, 1, bulk SMS. All the necessary information about the IMF bailout will be reduced to easy to comprehend messages that will seek to inform citizens about the conditions of the bailout and how that will shape the country's financial future. This SMS will be interactive, so that citizens, based on the information received, can send back their views and opinions with regard to the bailout. Social media, and this is what is in vogue now, that we shall engage our citizens, particularly on Facebook and Twitter, where vibrant discussions will be undertaken and relevant citizens' comments will be collated to inform the final recommendations that will be sent to the Ministry of Finance. The forum will also be carried online through Google and Hangout, where as many citizens can participate in an online forum to raise their awareness about the pertinent issues surrounding the IMF bailout and their views collated. Online platform. There will be an online platform to serve as a one-stop shop knowledge and resource center, where all information about the bailout will be made available. It will also serve as a citizen-based advocacy platform, where citizens can send all information pertaining to the bailout via the web forms. It will be incorporated with emailing alert systems that will enable easy sharing of contents among citizens and CSOs, that is civil society organizations, for a collective effort in getting citizens' voices heard on the bailout and for a greater impact of the recommendations made by these identified groups, and also for citizens and CSOs to make informed contributions to moderated discussions via the mail. Now the forum to agree on common positions. We recognize that on the major issues that will constitute the agreement with the fund, civil society and other non-state actors have divergent views. For this reason, we are negotiating to hire a renowned economist to prepare a discussion paper to be discussed by civil society and other non-state actors at a national forum in Accra to agree on common positions to be adopted by civil society. This forum, which we have dubbed the National Conversation, will take place at the Best Western Hotel in Accra on November the 18th. That is this year, 2014. We further believe that civil society should help to monitor the implementation of the agreement that will be signed by the government. The platform will therefore put in place a monitoring mechanism to oversight the implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, the platform will be known as the Civil Society Platform on the IMF Bailout. The initiative to advocate for civil society inclusiveness in major financial management issues was mooted by the Financial Accountability and Transparency Africa, Imani Center for Policy and Education, and Africa Center for Energy Policy. We have now been joined by several institutions to form the platform. These institutions include PEMPLUS Bites, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, CDD, Send Ghana, Ghana Institute for Public Policy, Occupy Ghana, Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, among others. The platform is non-partisan, non-religious, and it is not a new organization. However, it is a movement of common Ghanaians who believe we can leverage the IMF bailout to greater benefit of the country as a whole. As a CSO platform, we believe our role is not to serve as marketing department or the mouthpiece for the government of Ghana, nor the IMF, during this negotiation and subsequent negotiation of the bailout and its subsequent implementation. We will serve as a catalyst for a sustained citizen-based participatory national dialogue of each of the IMF bailouts for Ghana. Working together, these partners will coordinate activities and jointly harness our collective strength to ensure project success. Let me take advantage of this opportunity to call on other interested, concerned citizens. I know the word concern is actually of concern to a lot of people, but that is interested citizens, CSOs, media, professional bodies, to sign up and join the platform to ensure greater and deeper engagement. What is our game plan? The CSO platform on IMF bailout will be working with 4 key pillars, namely, 1, initiate a national conversation and hold a forum to discuss and agree on common positions on the key issues by civil society to inform both government of Ghana and the IMF. 2, engage the media, academia, faith-based organizations, and other bodies, etc., to embark on a sustained campaign to educate Ghanaians on the bailout. 3, reach many citizens by deploying effective ICT tools and interventions to provide easy-to-comprehend messages. 4, agree on mechanisms to monitor the implementation of the final agreement that comes out of the negotiations. The key objective of the platform, ladies and gentlemen, is to promote public awareness and inclusiveness and whip up public interest in the bailout discussions and to arrive at common positions on the key issues for the benefit of both government of Ghana and the IMF by pursuing a pro-poor, or better still, a pro-Ghanaian citizen agenda. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, at this juncture, I would like to share with you a key public message which is premised on increasing the likelihood that this current IMF bailout under negotiation becomes the bailout that ends all future bailouts by focusing on three key principles. One, make broad consultation with Ghanaian citizens an integral part of the process. A 3-year package under discussion in the context of elections coming up in 2016 could compel government of Ghana and IMF to build broad consensus on the measures being negotiated and on how to fairly distribute their economic and social impacts. Such process should allow for inputs and discussions with citizens' representatives, including civil society organizations, trade unions, faith-based groups, academia, media, and parliament. 2, set transparency and accountability measures that address underlying causes fueling undisciplined public spending. Off-budget and over-budget spending, example, for political patronage during election times, which we are all aware of, corruption, and lack of transparency in the management of public finances are the root causes of Ghana having to go for an IMF bailout once more. Nevertheless, the bailout should be seen as an opportunity to strengthen accountability systems of both horizontal, that is public finance institutions, such as the Auditor General and Parliament, as well as vertical, example through media and ordinary citizens as watchdogs, institutions involved in public finance oversight. 3, protect strategic pro-poor and pro-development spending. The burden of a final adjustment should not be placed over the shoulders of the most vulnerable and already undeserved, nor should it be done at the cost of strategic investments. Long-term development. Strategic long-term development. Measures should avoid further weakening Ghana's health sector, especially in the wake of an Ebola crisis in West Africa. Avoid reducing agriculture spending that strengthens the food security and resiliency of rural populations, and avoid diminishing investments in the education of our children as a pathway out of poverty. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it is important to note that the CSO platform on IMF bailout is not established to bash the government of Ghana or to criticize the IMF. Our contribution is to ensure citizens' voices and key stakeholders' inputs are harnessed constructively to improve the final IMF deal that is beneficial to Ghana and will minimize the possibility of Ghana going back to the IMF in the near future. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it is important to stress the fact that the platform is not a civil society organization. Rather, we are the rallying point for action with emphasis on mobilizing civil society stakeholders to engage effectively on the IMF bailout for a better deal for the country. We are here to stay. This collective action is going to run for the full 3-year duration of the IMF bailout, and we expect to initiate a monitoring and analysis of the implementation phase of the final agreement between the government of Ghana and the IMF. This will involve demystifying the agreement to make it easily comprehensible to the average citizen, monitoring conditionalities through a multi-stakeholder and multi-level process of citizen engagement with post-agreement implementation processes, including funds allocation for public investment, procurement, contract monitoring, and project execution. This will include citizen monitoring of the implementation process, citizen assessment of the impact of the bailout in their lives, and the use of the evidence to demand effective citizens' engagement with the government for more responsive and transparent IMF agreement implementation. The platform craves for your maximum support, especially in the media, to achieve its objectives and finally improve the living standards of the poor at the end of the bailout program. I thank you for this opportunity, and I also thank you for your attention. God bless.